Greetings from chess.com. I'm here to cover the journey of India's latest Grandmaster, Arjun Kalyan. So he became India's 68th Grandmaster this year, and I also interviewed him on this channel. You can also find the link to that in the description. In today's video, I will talk about one of the most exciting games that I have ever seen, and I will also tell you a little bit about Arjun Kalyan. So he started chess at the age of 8. His mother enrolled him into a chess class when he was 8 in T-Nagar Chess Academy, which is headed by A.L. Kasi. And then that's how his journey began. And I asked him some questions and I have his answers here. I'm going to read them out. So his favorite chess piece is the queen, because it is the strongest piece by far. And his favorite chess opening is Rai Lopez with both the colors, because it's a very rich and diverse opening with many strategic and dynamic ideas. And when I asked him about his favorite non-chess books, he said that he loves fiction, and he has read Harry Potter, he's loved Rick Riordan series, Percy Jackson World, and even he has also read Agatha Christie books in the recent times. And when I asked him about his favorite movies, he finds it very difficult to name one, but then he goes with Interstellar. That's an amazing movie, isn't it? And when I asked him about series, then he says Suits. That's one of his favorite series. And when I asked him if there is one life lesson that he has learned through chess or life, he says the following: you will always face many ups and downs in your life, and it is up to you to decide whether you want to keep going or give up. The greater the obstacle, the more glory in overcoming it. Amazing. And when I asked him about his idols, he says Magnus Carlsen and Vishwanathan Anand are his inspirations. And when I asked him about what he considers as some of his best chess achievements in his life so far, he says that getting the GM title was one of them. And he says as for the tournament wins, it's yet to come. So he feels like the best is yet to come. And in the recent months, in April, winning the round robin events really helped him, and he also considers them as one of his best accomplishments so far. So he sent me some games, and out of those games I picked this one because I really loved the magic involved in this game. He kept the knight on pre for so many moves. He kept the knight hanging for so many moves, and it was not possible for the opponent to capture it. And that fact really fascinated me, and have not really seen something like that in recent times. So let's look at this game. This is his game against Bernardsky Vitali, and here Arjun was white. And I'm also going to read out his annotations because they're very instructive and tells a lot about his thoughts during the game. So this is a Caro-Kann, and after knight f6, Arjun played knight takes f6. There's also bishop f5, which is equally popular, and after knight f6, knight takes f6, e takes f6, he plays c3, and then he develops the bishop to d3, and then plays queen to c2, and after rook e8 check, he plays knight to e2. h5, castles, h4. This is the main move here, and in this position, he played bishop f4, and he says that trying to exchange the dark square bishops, this is his plan. White's plan is usually to exchange almost all the pieces, definitely major pieces, so that eventually his queenside majority would tell. So he says that white has 4 pawns on the queen side and black has got 3. So this will end up proving as an edge to white in the long run. And then he says black played h3, which he considers slightly dubious, because this pawn on h3 could be a weakness also in the long run. So after h3, g3, knight a6, he played bishop into d6. And he feels that this decision was very much required, and because white should act quickly as black can coordinate his pieces, and he had actually seen a bit of this prior to the game, but it was all vague, and it was not really clear if white will have a definite advantage. But he went with his gut and had this feeling that this should be good for white. And after queen d6, he played knight f4. Now white is threatening to play bishop to f5 and then capture this pawn on h3. His opponent played pawn to g5, and this is where the magic starts. So the knight is attacked. I would give a moment to all of you to see what you would do as white. Just a small clue, it's not knight e2. So take your time on this and see what you would like to do as white. Okay, congratulations if you have found Arjun's beautiful move bishop c4, taking advantage of the fact that white has queen g6 in the next move. If black takes the knight, there is queen g6 check. This leads to a mate, and if king goes to h8, there is bishop. I think this bishop takes f7, and then queen h6 will follow. And if queen f8, white can even take queen takes f6, take the rook. White is winning. So after bishop c4, queen g6 is a deadly threat, and if you play move like king g7 to parry that, it's not possible because knight will come to h5, and then after, let's say, king h6, white has beautiful move f4, and the attack is menacing. Black cannot take the knight because queen h7 check, and after king g4 you can just play bishop takes f7, and there's going to be a mate very soon. So coming back to this position after bishop c4, his opponent played pawn to f5, blocking the range of the queen, and in this position here Arjun Kalyan played knight takes h3, and this is where the game gets very exciting, and this is where my favorite part begins. He plays queen h6, now the knight on h3 is attacked. For several moves this knight will remain there, it will remain hanging, and black cannot really take it. So this is the fascinating part of the game. Again, take a moment to see what you would like to do as white. Alright, I'm going to now reveal the answer. In this position, he played rook fe1. He says it's gaining a tempo and also clearing the f1 square for the bishop or queen at some point. And here he says black has to be precise. But in this game there was never a moment where Arjun had to defend the knight by bishop f1. So that's what I really liked, and he says that instead of rook fe1, even king g2 would have been possible, but then black would at least get an exchange in the following variation with bishop h3 check and bishop takes f1. Black's king is not really that safe, and that gives white a very good let's say compensation, or maybe more than that. So in this position he played rook fe1. And after rook fe1, his opponent played bishop d7, and this is what he considers as the losing mistake. Instead of that, after rook fe1, maybe black could have done knight c7 to protect the rook, but there is a tactical flaw with move bishop d7. So again, take a moment to see what you would do as white. Of course, black cannot take the knight here. This is the first instance where black cannot take the knight because the rook is hanging. So bishop d7, and now actually black is intending to take the knight on h3. In this position, Arjun Kalyan plays another threatening move. He keeps it very consistent with queen b3, and now he's threatening to play bishop takes f7, queen takes b7, two threats at the same time. If black takes the knight on h3 at this point, and then there is bishop takes f7 followed by bishop takes e8, and then queen takes b7, and this white is winning because this knight is in a terrible shape, the bishop is hanging, and the king is unsafe. All these factors just tell us that white is clearly winning. So after queen b3, his opponent Bernardsky played rook takes e1, and after rook takes e1, his opponent played pawn to b5. Again, if black takes queen takes knight in this position, white again has queen takes b7, and then both these pieces are hanging, one of them will fall and white will win. So after rook takes e1, Vitaly played pawn to b5, and now Arjun played bishop takes f7 check. Again, this is a check, so you can't really touch the knight. And then after king g7, again a very fantastic move. I mean, the move he plays here, it just shows that he had seen all this beforehand. He plays queen to a3, and now this ensures that the queen could come to e7 anytime it wants to, and also paves way for the rook to come to e7, and the knight is also hanging. So it's a multi-purpose move. In this position after queen a3, if black takes the knight in this position, white has queen e7, and it's going to get mated soon. If black plays something like bishop c8, there's just going to be a mate with queen g5, and if king takes the bishop, you can see it's just mate in 2. So after queen a3, black played pawn to c5, again blocking the range of the queen. But then after this, you can see the knight is hanging now, the bishop is hanging. So here Arjun plays bishop d5, attacking the rook. So if black takes the knight here, then the rook is hanging, but on top of that is also rook e7 check, and you can also capture the bishop. So after bishop d5, pawn to b4, he played cb4, And again, if black takes the knight here, this knight is hanging. Keep note of that. And then after rook e8, he played rook takes e8, bishop takes e8, and then just takes up the pawn with dc5. Again, if black takes the knight here, then white will simply take this knight and his pawn up and is going to win. So here he played bishop to b5, and then he played queen c3 check, and after king h7, yes, the knight is hanging now. But again, he doesn't really bother to defend the knight. He plays queen to e3 because he's going for the king. And in this position, black finally decided to capture the knight on h3, and then there was a check. And in this position, after king h6, queen f8 check, his opponent resigned. Now why did he resign? In this position, after queen f8, if black plays king to h5, there is queen check followed by f3 checkmate. If the king goes to g6, the queen is just hanging. So if black plays king to h7 in this position, white will simply play bishop g8 check, and after king h8, this is a well-known mating pattern. And after bishop g8, if king goes to g6, there is just queen f7 followed by queen f7. Those were fantastic variations that I thought were very fitting. It felt like white was a magician who was just playing beautiful moves, keeping the knight in the air and doing all the tricks. It was like juggling in a way, because the knight was hanging, but the priority was the king, and he went on for the king, and there were consistent threats right from the moment where he started with bishop c4. So I really loved this game. Kudos to Arjun Kalyan for playing such a beautiful game, and thank you, Arjun, for sending the answers to my questions and also sending annotations to this beautiful game. I'm sure the viewers have enjoyed this, and I'm wishing Arjun Kalyan a very happy birthday, wishing him all the best in all his endeavors. And dear viewers, if you liked it, do give it a thumbs up, do like the video. I'll be back with another video soon. Until then, take care, bye bye.